have children, so I don't really know the difference of daycare versus Montessori. Can you tell me a little bit about the difference and price and in what the experience is for children?
Yeah, so there's pros and cons to each, I would say. Montessori, like I mentioned before, is going to be more of a school vibe. Like typically the hours of a Montessori school are 8:30 to noon, and then when the kids are 4.5 to 6 years old, then they have an extended day until 3. So if you want to continue past those hours, you'll have to do aftercare, which we do offer at Little Blue, but the typical school day for a child may only be 8:30 to noon if they're under 4.5. So during that day, it's very different than daycare. Montessori has been around since the 70s. Maria Montessori started it, Italian woman. A lot of studies out about the benefits of Montessori versus not. And the data is really like astounding how different these kids turn out than ones who are not in Montessori. Before you are 6, it's when the wiring of your brain is being formed. So Montessori teaches kids in a way that is very intuitive. Like there's a specific system that they use to teach a child to read, for example. That's very, very different than what you would get in daycare or public school. It's one tool builds upon the next tool, builds upon the next tool. Basically, the kid does not even realize that they're learning to read. They're just doing it, and all of a sudden they're reading. Same thing with potty training for the little guys. Like, my daughter basically potty trained herself. Like, they make it very, like, intuitive. Also, the child has a lot of autonomy over what they get to do. They treat the children like little adults, basically, and they can, to a certain extent, can choose what they work on. They've had to have a lesson on that thing before they can work on it. But anything that they've had a lesson on already with the guide, teachers are called guides, by the way, they can use any of that material during the day. If a child's gravitating towards only math stuff and they really need that child to work on language or something else, a guide may gently direct them to, like, we're going to work on this now. So there's some structure. There's a lot of order in the classroom, even though you would think, oh, they can choose what they do. That's a little like chaotic. No, when you see a Montessori classroom, you go in there, it's genuinely like pretty quiet and almost like scientific. The kids are all doing their own thing, and they have big pride in a big sense of self that they are allowed to choose what they do and take ownership over that work. And then the reason why the staff is called guides is because they're never really like in front of the classroom giving a lesson to everyone, making everyone do the same thing. They're more just observing each child and seeing what that child needs help with, making notes about it. They're like a little like scientist, I would say. So it's really cool to see in action. Very different than what you see at daycare typically is like just babysitting. Like the teachers are trying to make sure nobody's throwing toys and people are sharing. And there's toys, kids are playing with toys. Sometimes they've got worksheets. It's just apples and oranges, the experience that your child has in daycare versus Montessori. But, no shame in daycare if that's what is right for you. It can be the right thing because they're going to have longer hours at daycare and they're going to be less expensive for sure. And, there's a lot of great daycares out there as well. It's just a totally different style is all I'm saying.
When you're choosing, if you have the budget for Montessori versus daycare and you just really don't know the difference, other than the length of the day and the autonomy, because it sounds like daycare can be autonomous too, but with maybe no purpose or no goal in mind. what questions should parents ask daycares or Montessori's that they're interested in putting their children in?
I mean, one of the most important things you can ask at any school you're interviewing is what is their staff retention, and how do they pay their staff? Because if you don't have happy teachers, like, if they're getting paid minimum wage and they're just trying to get through the day, you're going to have more turnover. You're going to have less care about what your child's doing. So those are some of the first questions I would ask. I would ask about if they have a curriculum or if they have a certain system that they follow, or if it's kind of just like playtime. Yeah, I mean, something really big about Little Blue, and one of my big things when I started the school was I'm not going to cheap out on paying my staff. They need to be paid a living wage for Austin, and they need to have good breaks built in so that they don't burn out. Just the whole system in this country is broken. Don't get me started on it. But teachers, I don't know why teachers are not valued as much as doctors and lawyers. Like, they should be getting paid the same because they are bringing up the little ones, the next generation. Like, these kids need a lot more love and care than I think they get in this country right now. And the teachers are the ones doing that. So we take really excellent care of our staff at Little Blue, and that's something that we will not ever waver on. So I think that's, the key component, really.